Well, let's get more perspective on the threat of ultranationalism in Ukraine from Joe Higgins, who is a member of the Irish Parliament. Mr Higgins, thank you very much for coming on to the programme. Now, given the history that Ireland has in having to deal with extremist groups, is it surprising that your leader now appears to support the interim government that is in Kiev, given its links to extremism?
Well, I tasked the Irish Prime Minister in the Irish Parliament last week with regard to the uncritical support that he has given the European Union in its dealings in the Ukraine. And the essential point I made was that you have two major imperial powers, Russia on the one side and the European Union on the other, and each pushing their own selfish economic interests. And the people of the Ukraine are caught in that pincer movement. It was a similar situation, like economic contests between major imperial powers for markets and prestige and territory that led in fact to the First World War. I'm not saying that that is going to happen, but we should learn from history. And the Ukrainian people should be allowed in peace to determine their own future. I do not believe that the European Union or the United States or indeed the Russian elite on the other side have the best interests of those people, and the capitalist type of neoliberal society.
Mr Higgins, isn't it in everybody's interest to prevent neo-Nazis taking power?
I absolutely believe that the far-right groups, semi-fascist groups, which were involved in the various movements that took place, in no way represent a step forward for the ordinary people of the Ukraine. I do not believe that the European Union should have supported them in any way possible. As indeed I believe that Russia should not be interfering either in the Ukraine. We really, what the Ukrainian people really need to resolve the major problems of unemployment and poverty, which are quite common for many working class people in the Ukraine, is in my view an entirely different approach and policy. It's quite incredible that oligarchs are now being given power as governors within the Ukraine. What do they
you mentioned these. You
hold in terms of the interests of the Ukrainian people?
Sweeping powers in Ukraine. If I could just butt in there, Mr Higgins, but isn't there a real threat here that they do appear, even over the last few months, they have influenced the decisions that the government is making? It's clear that they do have some power. They may be small in numbers, but they have large influence.
Well, of course, they filled a certain vacuum because of the disgust of ordinary Ukrainians towards the corruption of the previous government, of the Yanukovych government. And in a vacuum like that, where ordinary people and young people are extremely alienated and angry, if there is no major positive force that comes forward, then unfortunately right-wing groups move in. And we see that in Europe as well, where the disastrous neoliberal policies that the European Union is pushing is in fact encouraging and responsible for a growth of the far right. We've just seen in France, for example, in the local elections. I believe that the working class people of the Ukraine really need an independent party of their own, pushing their interests and only their interests, which are in opposition to what both the Russian imperial powers and the European Union and the United States imperial powers want for the region.
OK. All right, we do have to leave it there, but thank you very much for giving us your insight. That's Joe Higgins, a member of the Irish Parliament. Thank you.